All right. Hey, guys, welcome back. Hero Labs Live with RT here in the studio, which I don't get to see. Oh, there it is. All right. Ooh, nice new skyline today on what might be a short squeeze bounce weekend. Equities not dying as quickly today. It's nice to see. Got Lou M and Eduardo and Scott in the chat with Quark and LCD08C. And good old Smeety Boot Beep, Matthew. Good to see you guys. That's also good news. Having people in here in the lab. We're going to be getting into Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum, altcoins, all the good stuff. Not a whole lot in the news today that I've seen. If you guys want to talk about some news, you let me know. I saw a Dubai fund selling $750 million of Bitcoin, or trading rather, a huge amount of Bitcoin to Cardano and Dot. And on the heels of that news, Dot was my long today. I am long on Dot from just around 30 bucks. I was up really early this morning, had a really good sleep last night, which is new because I've been up till like, I don't know, 1 a.m. for the last week, which isn't that late, except for that I wake up at 5:30, just because I'm old and I don't sleep very well after I wake up. I just wake up and I'm like, whoa, so many things to think about and do. So I had a really good sleep last night, which is great. Feels good. If you guys aren't sleeping much, I would highly recommend it. It is worth the downtime. Yesterday I was sitting on call just like, I can't do numbers right now. So feeling a lot better today. And yeah, just getting after it. I mean, one thing I did this week is I consolidated a lot of positions. When there's an uncertain moment in the market, when we're in consolidation, I don't like to be spread out in 20, 30 positions. As you guys know, I nuked a lot of my portfolio last Sunday. Thank God, feel like I nailed it. That's not very common. It's hard in trading to make big moves and just do it at the right time. So I've been patting myself on the back for that as a trader, as as someone who's developing over the years. That's something that, a lot of times you see warning signs, you get that feeling, but you're like, oh, well, I don't know, we'll just see. And then it nukes and you're like, oh, I should have. And then oftentimes you do that day during the bloodbath. So that's a big move for me. That's a big step up from perhaps the last few times that I've seen some writing on the walls and decided, I'll just hodl. So that felt good. But this week I did take up some long positions on a few coins and then close them. Two of them at small losses on Neo, like cents. I mean, I think I bought it at whatever and sold it at like a few cents below later that day because I was like, fuck it, why am I opening all these new positions? I got to chill. But this morning, I took that consolidated cash. I took a nice chunk of it, maybe like, I don't know, 20% of it, and smashed the bid on Dot. And I'll show you why. I mean, aside from seeing that news, I just thought this is the one I'm going to pick on today. Because when you get news like that large funds, or in this case, a fund, I don't know how big it is pivoting from Bitcoin into an altcoin, it's pretty big news. And we already know Dot's big. We've got parachains coming up soon, the parachain auctions. Lots of teams, lots of projects are going to be buying up Dot, or already have been. They honestly should have been if they've been building for a few months, because this was a known thing. And they're going to be auctioning, trying to win what I believe is one of 100 parachain slots. And excuse my ignorance if you know better than I do and I misexplain this, but basically my understanding is that there's 100 parachains and they're all going to be owned or, leased by projects. And during the time of lease, any other project operating or using that parachain for interoperability purposes or whatever is going to essentially pay fees to the holder of that parachain lease. So it's a big deal. If you can get on to that lease and you can be the one running it, you get paid. Otherwise, if you don't win those auctions, you do the paying for the next year or two, however long the lease lasts. So that's a big thing, and that's coming up pretty soon, and that's for Polkadot. So at around 30 bucks, I like it. We're going to take a look at the charts here, guys. Checking on the chat, we got Paul Young Jr. Good to have you back. Only news is that Cardano wrecked me again. Oh, that sucks, man. Cardano is looking really good, actually, on both charts, but it's obviously out of an area where I can buy on the high time frames. I have not zoomed in for a day trade. Maybe I should have because it's pumping today, but we'll see. Say, man, girlfriend's cat didn't wake me up for once, and I felt amazing. Yeah. Yeah, a little extra sleep goes a long way. In fact, one of my buddies just showed up today after disappearing for like 2 days. He's like, I was sleeping for 18 hours. Feels great. So which crowd loans you going in on? I don't know about crowd loans. Chris Richards is asking about crowd loans. What's up, Clutch George? Love the name. Johnny J, good to see you. Let's get to the chats, guys. And if you guys are watching from TradingView or Facebook Live, any of that stuff, welcome. Hello, CCI. What's up? I see you. Lastly, if you're not already, please hit the subscribe button. We got a whole lot of viewers that are watching, and only a small amount, maybe 40%, are subscribed. Click a button. It's free, and it makes us feel good. So let's get over to the charts here. I'm going to throw up a screen share in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right, so I got Crypto Panic up here, which if you haven't used it before, is a pretty chill news aggregator. CryptoPanic.com. We're not affiliated. This is not an ad. It's just something I like to use. There's a lot of noise on there too, like random YouTube videos that'll come up. And then I click on it. I'm like, okay, this is like one guy's opinion. However, it's a nice little place to catch news. You can also search, right? So if I know that there's like, let's say Dubai Fund was the news that I wanted to see today, I can just click here, and now I'm at the page. Crypto investment fund sells $750 million in Bitcoin to buy Cardano and Polkadot. That's pretty big. It's a nice bid for altcoins. And that's kind of what I see coming. It's sort of, let's go see the weekly views. Weekly views. Where are you? I see you somewhere. I know you're up here. The last one I checked. Okay. Let's check here on BTC.D. That's Bitcoin dominance. I do speculate that, there's really two ways this can go. Either Bitcoin eats the world and the entire world decides Bitcoin is the thing we have a flavor for and we just want Bitcoin. Or altcoins gain relevance, DeFi grows, Ethereum, all these other things get actual use cases. And over time, they eat up the dominance in the market. Does it make sense to me that one coin, that being Bitcoin, would just dominate this market while all these DeFi products and other things and networks are finally growing and actually getting use? Or that some of them or a group of them together would steal some dominance away from Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can still be king, but maybe down at 50, maybe down below 50%. That to me is a healthy future. Bitcoin rising up to 60 and 70 and 80, that speaks to me as like a problem within crypto. Again, unless Bitcoin just eats the world and it becomes this reserve world global asset, because that'll probably be a narrative that would grow faster than any one network could. It's going to be exciting to watch. These weekly candles, they print at a snail's pace, but then you look back 6 months later, I still remember all of last year tracking this thing down, getting pretty bullish on altcoins through here. And that's with our risk on, risk off windows. Let's take a look at the daily here. I came up with this chart last year. I was just messing around. I'd seen someone else use like a risk on, risk off analysis on things, like when you see the yen or gold rallying, and then that tells you, what do you think about stocks? And I thought, hey, within crypto, we could do that by analyzing the trend on Bitcoin dominance. So when the dominance of Bitcoin is falling, that means other altcoins, usually ETH, because let's be honest, it makes up a huge percentage of the non-Bitcoin market dominance. So if ETH isn't moving, typically you don't get a whole lot of movement in this. You can see little anomalies and whatever, but not really. And using this analysis, we were able to get in on altcoins on May 20th. And right through here, we're just loading the bags on altcoins. And the charts were looking great too. So it was all about accumulating. And then suddenly, just as the start of July came, it was like DeFi summer. Oh my God. How did anyone possibly know to load up back here? The risk on window really told the picture, and it was great. And then down here, obviously the altcoins were starting to look really heavy. They'd all come into some profit objectives. We started W's starting to form, and we were on here on Hero Labs Live, Nick and I, talking about how we were probably just ready to unload our alts and get back into Bitcoin. And then of course, Bitcoin just had away with it. Now, the one anomaly was here. Obviously this thing, nothing's 100%. And I did load some altcoins through here, and then Bitcoin took off, breaking through 20K, destroying all of those gains that I had accumulated through here, small ones. No big deal. And then obviously this breakdown was huge. So when you see a breakdown like this, and then that was the weekly breakout on Ethereum, that was just like, wow. So we're consolidating now. We are at this sort of Wyckoff check, this sort of, throwback level to that breakout, which was the summer highs for altcoins, aka the Bitcoin dominance lows. If you're not following me, guys, don't worry. This stuff's, I don't know. I talk about it like it's obvious now. It is pretty complex. It's a little weird. And if you're not fully aware of how Bitcoin dominance, affects the altcoin market, that's okay. you're here to learn. And usually the more times you hear something, the more it starts to make sense. And it's crazy because you can't trade this chart directly. You can't be like, I'm going to go short Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to go long, but it still respects TA. And so while I may not use it for a specific trade setup, analyzing the trend tells me where I want to park my capital. If this thing is in a rip roaring bull, hell no, I'm not holding on to altcoins. Why would I do that? I could just hold on to Bitcoin, right? And we see that all the time in altcoins. Let's go look. Which one are we going to choose today? Maybe Ethereum, Bitcoin, which, by the way, is just kind of flatlined right now, which is not too hard to imagine given where it is on the chart. Let's go see it on the weekly. So on the weekly, you can see here, when ETH BTC, like for example, Bitcoin dominance is rallying, and look what ETH BTC was doing. Why would I hold Ethereum through here when Bitcoin dominance is rallying and all the Ethereum I'm holding is just losing Bitcoin value? I can just sit in Bitcoin, maintain that, get into this hunting mode down in what was a reload zone, right? So if you are blessed to have some of the time to look at the market like I do and like a lot of other traders do, then you can do things like this. Otherwise, you may want to just position yourself in a portfolio that kind of represents a nice basket of the market. Typically, you want to have those. I hear anything from 50% Bitcoin up a little bit because it is the less volatile, despite being quite volatile itself. And then that way, sparsing out some altcoins. I hear crazy things, right? Guys are like, I'm all in. And then they're talking about some altcoin that's like sub 5 mil market cap. And that's great because it can turn around and be like, yo, 100x, like woo went crazy this week. But that's kind of rare. And through market volatility and shifts, it's obviously you can get really hurt. So I would recommend for passive holding to start looking at balancing a portfolio a little bit. Right here, actually, back in January, I was looking at Woo. Somebody on this stream actually brought it up. So shout out to this stream and you guys, the community watching. Somebody on the stream was like, hey, check out Woo. It's pretty cool. Liquidity solution, da 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 da. And it was right down here. And I did buy some, and I looked very painfully at my Etherscan the other day. I was like, where did my Woo bag go? Because I had 10,000 left. I had like a small little bit left, at a 3-cent coin. That's not very much, like $300 or whatever it was. But it went ham. So I was very happy to see I still had a moon bag, but I loaded up down here. And then like 6 days later, I sold it. I don't know why. Probably just clearing the bags. Like I say, doing all these things, moving around, over trading. But maybe there's a conversation to have there around, your ideas versus someone else's ideas. If I had done all the research on this and really bought into it, and I did do some research and I did think it was looking pretty cool, but did it stand out above a bunch of these other projects that look really cool? Not really. So in times of basically flatlining, when I see another cool project that I did research, I might want to go buy that. It is very hard to hold on to an idea that's not your own. And I found that out with Woo. But, that little moon bag I saved is actually worth, pretty decent amount right now. So I cut it in half yesterday, sold half on like a 10x. Never a bad idea. And we'll see where this thing shakes out. I imagine it will. Most things do. They run this hard, they have some kind of retrace, and we can always use fibs to find out where those little retraces might be. Let's click reverse. What? Oh, it's because it's on log chart. Yeah, wow. And when you take it off log, it's just like this ridiculous thing. I mean, that's crazy. That went up to $2. It's almost 100x just off the bottom. Some kind of announcement, endorsement, influencers, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, let's get back to the chat here. Mostly what I wanted to point out there was that you guys brought the value in that case. So I'm not going to be ignoring the chat today. Max DeMarcos, my boy, welcome back. Great to have you, brother. What kind of signs do you look for when trying to time the top for rotations? Clutch George, that's a really good question. And I would direct you to a recent video I put out about the Chaos PRZ. And I haven't really been on stream since putting that out. So let's go take a look at it because this thing is insane. It is so much fun to play with. I don't know if this is the one. We're going to have to look around for a sec. Caught me off guard, Georgie. But I think Algo, there's 4 places it could be. It's neither of those. So it must be on this chart over here. Chart. I've been doing a lot of charting this morning and I've got a lot of templates. Okay, we can close that. Oh, I might have closed it. Let's go find it. Nope, I didn't. I just turned it into a Quattro, so I didn't recognize it. Here we go. Algo. Let's check it out. Insane. So look at this. Look at this Chaos PRZ. So George asks, what kind of signs do you look for when trying to time the top? Well, look, timing the top is really hard. Timing, keyword. But finding levels that could act as the top is something that I've learned to do with this tool, to expect chaos in these chaos levels. So we'll start over here on Algo. And again, you can watch the full tutorial on this channel. It's just called the Chaos PRZ. Just posted it the other day. So feel free to check that out after the show. But basically, you take this tool and it's just a fib, right? Out of the box, it doesn't look like this. In fact, out of the box, it looks pretty gross. There it is. And it's just, it is what it is. That's the settings, but you can double click it and then basically customize it with as many different levels as you want and whatever. And then TradingView is super sweet. So it lets you save templates. So I've created a whole bunch of templates based on different setups and things I've learned over the years. One of them, Chaos PRZ. It's just really simple. I should probably have the 0 and 1 on there as well. Helps you show where you drawed the points from, but then it's just 4, 6, 6, 9, and 8, 7, 7. And when you apply this to your chart correctly, and exactly how to do that, as you'll see in the tutorial, there's a couple loose rules there. But generally speaking, you see a consolidation zone like this where price is just going up, down, up, down, up, down. And then when it breaks out, that consolidation is over. But where's the price going to go? You can actually measure how much energy was pent up in this using chaos theory and the Faugenbaum constant 4669. Crazy stuff. And it kicks out a level, which I already pre-measured, obviously. And like when price gets there, if it does, it often has trouble getting through. And if it does resolve this level, it'll often continue on and smack into that one. It's effing crazy. So to your question, how do I look for targets? Pie in the sky. Where do I take profit? When do I rotate? Well, I always rotate at least some of my bag. As of recently, it's only recently that I kept seeing this thing and I just said, dude, I'm going to start trading this thing. I was just using it and kind of charting it and learning about it. Now I'm like, every time I take a position, if it breaks out and it's moving, my first take profit, if not a fib extension, is up here. And in this case, I think a fib extension probably would have worked as well. Yeah, right here. And sometimes if they're kind of close like that, I'll just give it a little box. And there's my little take profit zone. And in this case, it worked perfectly. And you could say, well, RT, it's easy to go back and check. Of course, you can go find an example. But I'll be honest, when I made that video, I just was like, first coin I thought of, I was like, oh, let's do algo. And then I pulled it up and look at the last cycle. Same thing. Take this low, take this high. There's your consolidation range. Kicks out a level. It did it twice. Bing. Pay yourself. Reload zone. You want to load back up? Cool. That's one way to trade. Let's go on. Bing. Like anyone taking profit up here sold the top. It's insane. And then even just recently this week, you can see this low to this high. Again, same kind of thing. Grabbing this consolidation zone, kicking it out. And, really, you should be consistent. So I'll take it from the exact low to the exact high. Hell, got an even better level. Somebody's using the Chaos PRZ, or it's really just spooky shit. So this is probably my favorite new thing of 2021. I knew about it in 2020, but again, I was just kind of messing with it. Didn't take it too seriously. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's kind of weird. But it is fascinating. And so what do I see in algo right now? Well, we are in probably a reload zone. Looks like, yep, down here, kind of getting back into an area where I'm like, oh, that's an interesting buy versus Bitcoin. And they don't typically tap and go. Sometimes you see them in here, you'll see sort of a consolidation, whatever this is going to look like. And then when it catches that next wave up, if it does, which let's be honest, I think it will at some point, then look at that. Oh, perfect confluence between the next chaos level and a fib extension. Tell me that's never going to hit. And I will say you're probably lying. But you never know, right? Russia sticks $10 billion of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Well, Bitcoin's going to moon and everything versus Bitcoin is going to find a whole new series of death. You never, ever know. So you don't sell houses. You don't take out loans. You just stay, risk managed and you have some fun with it. But I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'd say it's going to be reload zone, chaos, PRZ for algo sometime in the coming months. And, seasonally speaking, we're probably looking at March being a shitty month. I mean, again, just historically and seasonally speaking. And April, May, June, July, like those months tend to be pretty friendly. maybe less so April, more so May, June, July. So if that's what has to happen here, great, we'll be ready. DOT, kind of coming off here on the hourly. Let's take a little look over here at DOT. I'll get back to the chat in just a sec. What did I see on DOT? Well, on the hourly, you can see here, we're just coming into a bullish retest. So, Bitcoin, I mean, maybe we should start with Bitcoin. It's the same kind of thing. I'll get my daily chart here. Hope that helps there, by the way, George. If I'm assuming that's something to do with what you were asking. Yeah, like on the daily, same kind of thing. Chaos PRZ, fib extension, put a box between them, thinking about taking profit here, and it actually just tagged and dropped. Thankfully, there was some other lower time frame stuff where I was like, oh, I can actually just take some here. I was very exposed, so it wasn't a hard decision to take risk off. But we're into the pump chaser zone, and you can see my other lines aren't adding up because I drew them on the hourly. So let's go look. Did I draw them on the hourly? I don't know. Maybe the 4 hour. Right here. So coming in today, right? We had the dump, wake up the next day thinking, I bought the dip. Yay. Nope. Sucker. Haha. Dumped again. And then got up here and I have a better one. Oh, I closed it. My futures chart. Let's go look at the futures. I like to have one zoomed in, one zoomed out so I can kind of flip quickly instead of resizing everything. So there's my futures chart. So right here, yesterday I was thinking, okay, we had a dip in a little reload zone, coming back up. If we break this level, we should rally up into here. So my alerts triggered. Thankfully, I'm not too hyper-handed with the trading this week, so I didn't actually do much. It was just more for analysis. And then over the rest of the evening, it just nuked, like total rejection. But what's interesting is right here overnight, it had every excuse to break down. Nice volume coming in, selling, blah, 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 pretty bearish, ugly. And it didn't. It closed right back up at this level and then kind of moved off. Not a ton of buyback. So I don't think this is like the midterm bottom. I do think we may see some new lows, maybe even while I'm talking, apparently. But we did come up and make a little bullish market structure this morning. This is not invalidated yet. It doesn't have to be, breakout and it can't come back. There's a lot of people that'll see this breakout and then they'll set stop losses here. They'll say, well, it never should come back. In fact, most of my trading, I find that once you get those confirmations, that's when it's time to get up a little a little reload zone on lower time frames. Let's get rid of this one. And then you're starting to think about, getting in here when everybody else has stopped out. Now, why is that? I mean, if it's bullish, shouldn't it just run? Yes. And is this an area where I'm getting very aggressive with longs? No. Midterm, I do think cool down, chill, save your money. I just had a really good month. I'm not really looking to chase too hard for the next trade. I think, I think this smackdown's probably going to just make trading tough for a little bit. The trend is kind of in shock. So having said that, this is generally, and that right here is a pump chaser zone. So, could be something happening here today. But like I said, I'm feeling pretty chintzy right now, the way that the market is behaving. So I'm not going to be like pump chase, right? Pump chase is when there's FOMO in the market, everything's going crazy. Right now, we're sort of in this state of unknown, a little bit of fear, a little bit of uncertainty. There's no clear trend, low time frame, other than, down perhaps. So if we get into this reload zone and it wasn't Friday and I'm planning to go out and just be outside for a bit, I'd probably be looking in these lows for an opportunity to take a long, because down here, my invalidation is really tight. I can really size up or just leave whatever. But like I'm looking at a 3% drawdown with a whole range above me for potential upside. And if I'm wrong, I don't really have to wait around too long and see. It's not going to be that painful. It's like right here, right here, right here. Whoa, this wick should not be lost if we're going to play in this range. It was a really nice sweep of the lows on bullish divergence. No real sign of the bears at that moment. So if we're going to be long through this range and consolidation, that should not be broken at all. So, and the crazy thing about trading is that there's still an outside chance it could just sweep that and then go. And that's the savage shit. That's why people are like, man, Bitcoin's so savage. These markets are crazy leverage. Oh my God. But probability is if we lose this low, any longs right here suck and you should just pull out and all that. So yeah, that's my take on Bitcoin. And so for that, because of that news this morning, I thought, I'm going to express my low time frame bullishness through DOT. And so down here around 30.18, I picked up some DOT this morning bright and early around 8:30 or 9 a.m., whenever it was. And, I'm just bleeding out on the side of the street right now, but we'll see. For now, it's kind of a bullish throwback. My trade was not meant to end here. So it's either going to stop me out or it's going to, bounce at this bullish throwback, maybe even pull back a little more, make me sweat. And then we'll get up into this kind of range over the weekend. That's what I hope to see. Kind of like I drew up over here. This is what a short squeeze would probably look like through the weekend. Again, I'm not going to trade this because it's a little uncertain for me, and I don't feel like I need to trade it. I'm going to actually, some people need to practice trading. Their problem is that they don't take enough trades when they see them. Other people's problem is that they overtrade, and they need to learn how to just chill the fuck out and wait for opportune moments. I mean, imagine every 6 months a perfect opportunity came up where your probability of success was 80%. You could wait, trade twice a year and be insanely profitable. But your only challenge would be then waiting for those moments. This, to me, it's just not something I really need to trade right now. Except for my dot long, which is one position that I can focus on. It's a spot position. So anyways, let's get back to the chart. Excuse me, the chat. Anyone looking at OMI? So we're going to do some coin requests here. Can you please show me where are the Chaos PRC fibs on your Bitcoin chart? Yeah, like high time frame. We could look at high time frame. Let's do that. Let's zoom out because I actually have them already here on the weekly views. If you guys haven't already, you can go to herolabs.io, sign up for the weekly in the bottom right. That's a free newsletter that we send out by email with all the links to our YouTube stuff each week. And I write that. So if you guys are interested in a little bit more of this, I send out basically a weekly chart on everything with updated analysis. It's probably about a 10-minute read or less. So it's a nice quick view of the entire crypto market every week in your mailbox, usually sometime Tuesday afternoon. There you go. Plugged. Now let's go check out the BTC. So I've already got these on here. So high time frames, we smacked into the Chaos PRC, go figure. And if we resolve this bullishly, it's probably going to be a fairly aggressive teleport right up to 90K. Don't believe me? Come check back later. But who knows? Because we've got the 20-week moving average, which on to this morning's market update video, I went into a little detail on how important that can be in a bull market when you're looking for entries. And just for evidence of that, we can even just go look real quick right now. I put it on this chart. Don't need this. Let's go look. I mean, this was 2017, right? So the start of the bull market kind of kicks off. It's slow. It's always like a gradually then suddenly thing, and it picks up pace. That's human psychology. That's people that are saying, hey, I made money. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Oh my God, I'm making money too. Tell your friends. Okay, I'm making money. Let's all tell all of our friends. Oh shit, mortgage the fucking house. And that's the top. And that's exactly what happened. And it's really sad because a lot of people probably got really screwed up because they didn't know what they're doing and they leveraged their houses. And there was people for sure that lost houses, probably who had kids. It was messed up. So we're not going to sit here and celebrate that, but that's just the nature of market cycles. It's human psychology printed in candles. But look at this 20-week moving average. I mean, God, if you had the discipline, the wherewithal, the ability to steel your hands and just wait for these tags all the way up. And this was like death. This, I incorrectly said in the video today that this was the Bcash fork. This was actually before I was in crypto. This is 2016. But if you zoom in here, I joined crypto in May, right on this candle. I actually bought as much as I could right at the top of this and got dumped 30% the next day. But this was the Bitcoin Cash fork. It was very scary. There was a lot of people saying the miners were going to split, and if there wasn't enough miners to upkeep the Bitcoin chain, it would cease to exist and you would lose everything. It was very fuddy, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, of course, ending in a capitulation move. But had I known what I know now, I might have looked at this and said, yeah, I'll take a shot off this. I can't guarantee anything, but that's as good a spot as any. And it turned out to be the perfect buy zone right off this 20 MA. And then again, later on, when China banned Bitcoin in September, perfect MA. And then if you waited for it the rest of the year, you got left behind. And that's the other side of the risk. You can get left behind. Right here, perfect buy back in September. Again, not really in my wheelhouse, this tool at that time, not something I was looking at too often. And it's approaching price at all times. It stocks the price. It's a moving average. So it gathers the last 20 candles and it spits out a value that is the exact average of those, probably the midpoints or open close average. I don't know. But basically, it's an average of these 20 last candles, whatever they are. And it'll always intercept price at some point. Okay. If price stands still, it will just slowly creep up to it. So my guess, if I had to be a guessing guy, is that we are going to be in some kind of consolidation here for a little bit. It's been really, really, really hot. And this smackdown was significant. It was a 10K drop in as many days. There will be fear, there will be uncertainty, and that usually leads to consolidation. So as that's happening, what is it going to be? 2, 3, 4 weeks? Who knows? This thing will just keep creeping higher. And if it ends in some kind of capitulation move, that could be our tag. That could be the end of March. Who knows? So that's something I'll be watching for personally with a lot of that cash that I took out of the market last weekend. As much as I want to just ape into my favorite altcoins right now, and I do still hold some bags. The significant cash position that I took on is something I really want to play carefully with. You know, I can have fun in the market with the bits I still have in, and I can mess with those, and I'll play with those. But I'm not gonna do anything like, buy all the Bitcoin I can just because price just dipped for a few days. I might get left behind. But I'll tell you what, someday when this thing tags, I will be buying it. And that might be on a really gross, bloody, fearful day. I'm going to have to really stay disciplined to make sure I execute that. But I'm convinced now that I shall. ADA has been absolutely nuts today. Yes, let's go check it out. That's Todd Lewis in the chat. Let's go see ADA. Noticed that this morning, actually. Somebody pointed out to me after that news about the Dubai fund. I bought the DOT, which has not broken to new local highs. However, it's sort of in a downward consolidation. So, it might yet do that. It's at a bullish throwback now. I'm watching it out of the corner of my eye on my Binance chart, and it's making me sweat. But it's, again, it's not such a position that it's like, I'm going to be ruined, but I still hate losing. Let's take a look at ADA. I mean, nice consolidation here on the hourly. Broke out on volume, potentially with that news. Maybe they have something coming up. I'm not really following the project, but I have heard a lot of buzz about it over time. And if you zoom out, let's go see what the chaos says about where we're at. I mean, what a sweet looking chart. All this volume coming in. And if you want to spot these things, and don't worry, like you missed this one perhaps, spotting it early, but markets don't change. They will repeat this kind of behavior. So take notes here. It's the buy volume that is the hint, right? Death, 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 not looking good. Oh my God, what is this uptick in buy volume? Oh my God, even more. Oh my God, even more. Something's happening. Something's coming. Buy volume will almost always precede an omega pump. And even right here, zoomed in, you could say right here on that day, I would have probably looked at it and say, oh, that's too bad, I missed it. But get a little TA in there, get a little bullish throwback. This used to be resistance. Now it's getting tested as support. Not very tight. Kind of a tough trade to take here. Where are you going to risk to? But I bet the pump chaser zone had something to say about it. Well, let's take a look right here, right through that pump chaser zone. There was the pump. Let's chase it, and you never know what happens. But with this tool and this understanding of volume, it's very hard to say what will come next. But in this case, whoa. ADA has been going nuts. So what does the chaos PRZ, and keep an eye on that stuff, guys, because it's not like that's the only time that's going to happen. That shit happens every time, almost. Let's find some chaos levels. There was a little consolidation through here. So taking that low to that high kicks us out with these levels. Not perfect. It kept going, but you can see here, it did get a reaction. So somebody's taking profit there. Not maybe because of this, but they did take some. Same thing here. Got a little bit of a reaction, kind of on the other side too. Let's see if we can do even better. Take this consolidation, draw that out. We're coming into that zone right now. This kind of blasted through. Not a huge reaction, but a little bit of chaos around that level. And right here, we just about tagged the output of this consolidation with regards to chaos theory. Chaos level. Now, I think the omega uber chaos that I want to draw in the market is the lows to the previous highs. That's going to kick you at a really big level. And that's probably what we're looking at this year if there's like a massive bull cycle, which I still think there is. going to be. So let's look at some of these. And these will blow your mind because, a good chaos level cannot be, and let's get the zeros and ones so we can see better. A good chaos level should look ridiculous. That's sort of the nature of it. It always looks ridiculous when you draw it. So that's like the whole friggin' bear market. Let's just go look at what that would say, just in case. And it's probably better to do this on a weekly because we're thinking about high time frames. And let's go on the log chart so it doesn't look so ridiculous. Wait, 171 on log. Do chaos levels change based on log? Let's see. Nope, still 171. So it just looks crushed. Let's go take a look. So log chart basically, I'm not going to explain it offhand, but it just kind of crunches up your chart so it's all relative to percent gains instead of total dollar gains. Point is, a lot of people like to chart on these because it gives you a sense of the relative gain rather than those ridiculous looking exponential charts. So yeah, 124, 171, that would be chaos for the whole sort of bottom consolidation. And it looks like price is heading right towards it. So if we get there, which again, not on log, looks a little bit, without the log chart, it actually still looks like pretty far away. So it's funny how you can play tricks on your mind depending on how you paint your charts. But this, if it gets here, like I would definitely be taking profit if it hits 171. Not because that's the top forever, but that's just like we're traders, right? If you're trading, if you're asking where targets, then that means you're trading. So this is a great one. This tool, and what would that look like? Well, who knows? Who knows? But my guess is like if we just rip here, it's just like whoa, pump chaser zone. And then like when that happens, you can look back and be like, oh my God, what a sick trade. And then you can find a new trade. And that new trade might be on something that hasn't done this yet, or it might even be on this same asset in something like a nice little pullback area where, okay, price got up to there. Let's just say it smacks. Suddenly you're in this reload zone, this pump chaser fib, and you're just filling your bags back up. But you made a nice trade there. And God forbid, world comes to an end, something totally crazy changes. You don't even have to buy back here. You're just happy you sold the top, right? So that's what I see on ADA. What would you do at the stage in this bull run? ETH and BTC are the only two trades I haven't sold any of. I picked up ETH at 180, picked up BTC at 6K. My fingers won't sell them for some reason. Evan, steel hand champ. I sold half on a double on all the other cryptos. Would we waiting on this pullback be the best choice now? You know what, Evan? First of all, congratulations, because you got really good entries and you didn't sell them the whole way up, which is impressive. I got really good entries and I did a lot of selling on the way up, definitely early. And I rotated it and I traded it and I had a good year, but I always look back, I'm like, was I probably outperformed by myself just holding? There's a good chase I was. But for your sake, let's talk about what we can do with our altcoins here. And I'll use Solana as an example, because that's one that I am holding. And I have to ask myself, in fact, I was asking myself this question today. Here it is on FTX. Same kind of thing, right? Grabbing. Let's get the white lines on so you guys know where I drew that from, right? Taking the low, taking the high, kicking it out. Where's my trade? Sad to say that my chaos fib and exit, because I actually started setting orders on this thing, didn't hit. So, if we really do pull back here significantly, that's a sad face because I almost smacked my target and I would have been out with a little profit. But I'm pretty confident about Solana. Like I said on Wednesday on the stream, I honestly just see this thing being in some crazy higher level, like really, really marking up. Let's take a look at Sol. Yes, already ranked 20. So it's up there as it should be, but it's 3.8 billion. Now we take a look at Ethereum, which is what I am comparing it to. Whether or not it's going to flip Ethereum someday, who cares? I don't think they're competing. I don't feel tribalism where it's like, mine's better than yours. It's really just a matter of like, where's the network value? If they can get the network value up over the next year or two, which I expect they will, they are faster, period. They are more scalable, period. How they'll compare to ETH 2.0, well, we'll let history decide that. I don't know. Not a freaking dev here, okay? But 167 billion to 4 billion. So can Solana get to $100? Of course, this is all like the most speculative type of analysis you can do. My guess is yes. And so, but it's not in a buy zone. It's not really. Anyways, let's go see. Maybe it's in the pump chaser zone, but it's kind of out of a zone where I'd be rushing to buy at this minute. Really nice here. Look how the levels line up, right? Look how this support resistance area lines up with now what has become the pump chaser zone, because of course this zone changes as price moves up. But I find so often, and this is fascinating, that the highs that come in set up such that the fib actually matches a bunch of the levels. So I wonder if you could actually somehow use that retroactively, right? Just so like this little consolidation, price is going to go up until that's like somehow part of something. I don't know. Maybe it's just hindsight trading that makes it look easy, but it's interesting nonetheless. But this kind of zone, 9, 10, 11 bucks for Solana, I will be loading more. And if I had sold here, if I had hit my targets, I would have the opportunity to load even more. So that's if we get in here. So my perfect scenario, maybe what I see with a little cool down in the market, if we're going to get that, is something like this, right? Even like, well, capitulation. And then it's like, whatever. And then it's through March, maybe, like what, that kind of stuff. And you see that in markets all the time. Big pump, draw everybody in, shake them out. They were lazy. They just bought the pump. They didn't really, earn it. Let's shake them out, folks. And then the market runs out of those kinds of sellers, and suddenly it's ready for another move. So to your question, sometimes I get off track here. Would waiting out this pullback be the best choice? Yeah, I mean, look, I am waiting for a lot of things. Like I said, I bought some DOT today. I'm making very small, like specific trades, but I'm not like aping into everything like I was a few weeks ago. I got really apey at the last little bit, because I realized on things like Ocean, which we talked about on stream, I realized that the market was just ridiculous. And I didn't want to sit around and do my usual 1-2% risk when, well, actually for a while there, I was at like 0.5% and 0.25% risk on a trade, basically, fairly conservative. But then I see things like this, right? We've talked about this in stream a lot. You see things like this, and we were in a market where once this broke and retested, things were just going ballistic. I got really apey when I realized that, after kind of missing a couple or hitting a couple with small size. I saw this last couple weeks and I said, fuck it, I'm aping the shit out of this. And I bought a huge position and I sold it around $1, $1.10. Like, I held some of it through this, and I think I sold this dip at one point, but like, I'm not doing that right now. I'm not doing that anymore. I've completely reset my risk profile for a bit until I get a clear picture of things again. And that's okay. It's not about being a bull or a bear or a man or a wimp. Like, it's bullshit. It's really, the market is telling me now that we may have shifted into a consolidation time. We may have topped. I don't know. Probably not. Like, I'm giving it a 10% probability or less that we have hit some kind of macro top and we have to go through some kind of bearish cycle. And even less. I mean, a full bearish cycle, like giving it less than 1%. I just don't see it. But 1-2 month consolidation, bear case, sure, possible. You got to always have that in the back of your head. It's possible. If you don't accept those kinds of possibilities, you end up putting yourself at danger. Now, this thing, could it come down to a bullish retest? Sure. The general look at the market right now just tells me I'm okay to chill. What do I have in my bag? Because I'm not like sitting here talking about how I have no crypto. I've got a buttload of radium. It's all farming on Solana. I've got a bunch of Solana. Fuck it. Let's just do this. I'll show you exactly what's in my bag. And then, some people ask, they say, we talk a lot about this, we talk a lot about that, but like, how can I position myself percentage wise? Now, I'm not going to go and say that I've nailed it with my exact percentages right now. So take this stuff with a grain of salt, but this is where I'm at. DOT is a day trade. So this will probably be back in Tether sometime over the weekend, if not earlier, if I get stopped out. So I was at like 45% cash to start the day. Also consider that my radium is entirely farmed. It's sitting in a liquidity pool with Tether. So I see that as a flat position. If radium drops significantly, it will go and grow, and my radium position will grow. My Tether position will shrink. But when I pull that liquidity someday, I can basically just sell that extra radium for Tether and be sort of close to break even. So, keep that in mind. It is a cash heavier position portfolio than it looks like. I'll take a look at my bottom half here. Where is this tab? Okay, here it is. I've got CyberFi. This is actually staked. I had a trade bag, but there was a really nice pump this week. So that trade is closed for me. Let's go look at the 4 hour. If you guys were following me on Twitter, man, I've been talking about CyberFi since like a long time. It's an old investment of mine from last year. Been working with the team. These guys are great. They're very smart. They're building some cool shit, and they're still fairly undervalued, I think. But again, this was a great pump. I really don't even know. I think it was like some influencers talking about it or something. Decided to shout us out on their YouTube, or I should say shout them out. I'm not on the team. But that was a trade for me. I was like, you know what? I can close this. It's like 2x, 3x. So I closed my trade bag, but as you can see, I still have my staking bag, and that's locked. It's like 60 days. I'm going to get a little extra CFI for that. So not too worried. Can't do much about that. I got a YOP position, not selling that. Have taken some profit on YOP, as you guys know, if you follow me on Twitter, again, at randomtask555. Been talking about YOP quite a bit too. Really excited about what they're doing. Helped seed this project back in the fall through Magnus Capital, my fund. And, all through here, just talking about these breakouts, these retests. And then they announced that they're going to be a launchpad aggregator. Basically hold some YOP on your app, and then you can have access to like 9 different launch pads. So that's pretty dope. And then they pump like crazy. So, that was a trade. Cut a little bit of that there. But generally speaking, still holding my bag. Very bullish on that one. And, FTX, Serum, Basket, Polygon's been doing really well. So yeah, I've got lots of alts. I guess I should preface that by saying that. Then I get down into the nitty gritty. Got some Hxro, obviously. Maps is part of the Solana Foundation, or Solana platform, I could say. They're building on there. Dope. Everest, partnered with FTX. I'm still holding my bag. Hathor's a free position. I got a little bit of Bitcoin left because I traded a lot of it off to Tether last weekend, and then the rest of it into some DOT and other shit this morning. Well, just DOT this morning, but yeah. And then this is just like dust. So yeah, I hope that helps. E-money, I actually have a pretty sizable bag, but I just hid it from my portfolio because it's staking and it's like locked for 22 days. So I don't even want to look at it. But yeah, so if that helps you guys understand a little bit of how to balance, generally speaking, no matter how big your portfolio is, you got to manage the risk the same way. So you want to start with a base, and a base is your major pair, whether that's Bitcoin. You're just like, I'm living in Bitcoin and I only trade from and to Bitcoin. Cool. Then your biggest bag should almost always be Bitcoin, unless it's like peak ape season and you want to hop in and hop out with a quickie. My base for my portfolio, for the most part, is Tether. Sometimes it turns to Bitcoin when it's a clear bull on a low, mid, and a high time frame, but for now, it's flipped back here. So that's your base, and that reduces your volatility, so you don't wake up with 30% swings on the whole thing. And over time, this will melt into other positions as I take on new longs, new positions, averaging in, blah, blah, blah. And then as I'm selling at those chaos PRZs, it ends up back here. Again, sometimes Bitcoin, sometimes Tether. So keep that in mind, how you position your whole portfolio. The top in 2017, it was like 99% altcoins for me. And I had no idea. I didn't know any better. And so they dropped versus Bitcoin while Bitcoin dropped 80%. They went down, some of them, Aeon, one of my favorite bags, dropped 99.6%. Okay. It was a $50,000 bag at one point. It was a free bag. I had already taken enough out of it, but it was worth 50K. I was like, I'll just hold it. It's a free bag. And it ended up being worth like $1,600, guys. Anyways, I'm not calling for that kind of shit right now, but just to remember that HODL is not a free ride, and it's not usually too fun. And the guys who do it that look like geniuses, well, they are steel-handed, soulless, cold-hearted people who don't feel pain. Anyways, so yeah, look at this. This is what you want to see right here. You want to see a buyback on Bitcoin. And if we can go into the weekend with some kind of short squeeze, that'd be great. This is a little squiggly I put together about what that might look like. I was wrong for now. Pull back in here. Could it be here? Could it be here? Like just chop, chop, chop. The bull case is still around until we lose that. And that, that's what I got. That's what I got for the squeeze. Probably want to look at the daily on Bitcoin if we're looking at the midterm. I don't really need all this. Back to the chat. Kind of just going off on a tangent now. But yeah, I mean, let's look objectively, guys. We've got a high. We've got a higher low. We've got a higher high. Let's go find a higher low. I'm not really in panic mode or like, holy fuck, the bull market's over until we close something down here. And I know that's ridiculous. That's like 46K all the way to 25. But sorry, guys, that's the way that these high time frame structures work. We might come up here and then come down, and then that's a confirmation. We could probably front run this, but on the weekly chart, I mean, until you lose this low, we're just making higher lows. And as painful as that is sometimes to make a higher low on a 40% or whatever it is drawdown, that's the way it goes. You want to look back at 2017 and tell people that they're lucky and you wish you got in cheap. Well, it wasn't too much fun then either, but it ended well, and then it ended terribly. So keep that in mind, guys. When we go through these bull markets, it's not easy. If you're doing well, congratulate yourself. If you're not doing well, don't be too hard on yourself. Just adjust, adapt, take some risk off the table until you feel more confident. Paper trade if you must. In fact, I would say you must paper trade at some point, because that's when you get in without emotion and you can actually focus on what you should be doing. I've heard some people say that paper trading is bullshit because you don't have any skin in the game, so it's not real. I would agree with that when it comes to like poker. Poker, it's like, I'm all in because I want to see your cards. Fuck it, I don't care. It's paper trade. But if you're paper trading, in some ways, I think it almost makes you a better trader because you don't have that emotion attached to it, and you just look objectively at the chart, and you can get really good at that. And then, of course, transitioning to money can, it might risk a more emotion joining into it. But if just say you do 50 trades with just a paper trade, which by the way, you can do on here, right here, I believe. Connect to broker, and you can connect to like a paper trade thing. So yeah, paper trading right here, right on TradingView. And there's certain exchanges you can connect to, and it'll show you a balance, and you can set stop losses and take profits, and it's completely free. It's not real money. It'll track it for you. And imagine after 50 trades, you're super profitable. You have a set of criteria that you look for anytime you enter a trade, and you have 20 losers and 30 winners, and you're just like hitting a nice little return. You get confidence and you know what to look for, and then you just take a little money and sprinkle it into your account, and you just rinse and repeat that setup. I mean, that's what it's about, guys. If you haven't ever looked at that or considered it, I'd highly recommend it. It's underrated. It's underrated, but it's not for everybody. Some people say, fuck that. Put my skin in the game right now. And that's what I did. And, and it worked out well in 2017. And then I lost a lot of it back in 2018, 2019. I was humbled. And at the start of 2020, I got serious, and I decided, okay, I'm going to wash out my entire account if I don't get my shit together. And I got a journal, and I got a trade tracker, and I got a paper trade account, and I did all this shit. And look at me now, frozen in the bottom left screen. So slowly sell at least 1% into Bitcoin when the market is pushing it. Yeah, I mean, that's another way to do it. This is the crazy thing, guys. Samuel Adams made a good point. He said, like sell 1% into Bitcoin while the market's going crazy. Messi would sell this year, or he's waiting till 2025. I have no idea. Couldn't tell you about his plan. He's got a pretty solid understanding of what he wants and how far he wants to take it. So he's kind of like in the diamond hand patrol. He does a lot of holding through these because he sees a cycle coming in his analysis, and he's basically like, fuck it, I know what's going to come, so I'm just going to hold through. I'm a little more paper-handed, If something doesn't go my way and my trade doesn't go the way I thought it would right away, I cut it right away. I was wrong. Moving on. Next up, I do a lot of lower time frame trades in the days and weeks. I'm not one to hold through the year, although I found out the hard way with a coin that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. We had the CEO on, or the founder, I should say. I don't really know his position, but Jeff came on last year for this stream. This pre-sale was half a cent, and I was in it in July 29th. And it came out at 5x, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And I sold like a third of my bag because I was like, sick profit. And it was like, coming out of 2020, my account was smaller. I was trying to grow it back. I was like, yeah, I'm taking that 5x every day. And then it ran up to here, and through this, I sold probably the other half. So, and then it was like sick. It was like 42x or something. I was like, hell yeah, I'm a god. And then it ran up here, and it was something like 300x. And I had a moon bag, and I sold that. And I didn't buy any back through this freaking reload zone. Oh, so it's actually sitting around like 780x right now. So ask me how I feel today about my swap bag that I don't have. But, that's not my style. My style, who knows what I did with that capital in between? Like, would it be worth over $1 million right now? Yeah, probably. But what did I do with it instead? Like I'm not too sweaty about it. It's more of a joke. My buddies have some do, some don't, some sold, some didn't. And we have our one friend who never sold through this, and he was so depressed through this part of the market. He's like, I can't believe I didn't sell. And now he's laughing. And thank God, he's learned his lesson. He's actually taken a little off through this. So really good project. If you haven't looked into it, not the greatest time to show you on it because it's just not in a buy zone, period, if I'm trading. But let's take a look at what the chaos says about good old swap. Love this project. Love everything they're doing. I mean, yeah. yeah. It's probably going to go ham. I'm always, our running joke, we actually left a little on the table. We were offered a pre-sale ticket. We filled some of it. We actually didn't fill the whole bloody thing. This is back when, pre-sales weren't coming out at an auto 20x. Like it was like a bit of a different market. It was quieter. And so I always tease my buddies. I'm like, so that little bit we left on the table is now worth and that's a running joke that's going to get funnier and funnier every month. Chaos is looking like $7.40 for the old swap. And, shout out to Jeff Kardikis. He was on the show. He'll probably be back at some point. He's a buddy of ours, founder of this project. And let's see what I'm looking for here. It's the pump chaser zone. Let's take a look here. Because this thing, look, it's perfect. It works when you have a pump and you want to chase it. Pump chaser zone. So he was on the show here at $1 in January. He was our first guest of the year, actually. And I remember telling him, I was like, wow, that's so sick, dude. Everything you got coming up is so exciting, but I can't buy here. I'll have to wait for a dip. And I did buy and then sell a dip through here. I forget. I just like shit the bed and kind of like nuked a lot of my portfolio at some point. So anyways, doesn't really matter. Point is, swap is dope. Staking gets you all kinds of cool shit. It's not in a buy zone right now, but just like it did here last week, it will be back in some kind of buy zone someday. And I probably will go get a little bag. I don't care what price it is. I'm bullish on it. But not here, not today, not like this. So slowly sell all these. So yeah, to your point, Samuel Adams, rolling back. There are so many ways to skin the cat, Slowly selling 1% into Bitcoin as the market's pushing it is one way to do it. Whatever rule makes sense to you. For me, it's like chaos PRZs, it's pump chaser zones, it's reload zones. I should probably have cleaner rule sets that I follow a little more religiously. Definitely. Actually, not probably, definitely. But the market's been so crazy, busy with work, busy with everything, and I've been a little undisciplined, I'll be honest. But thankfully, one thing I don't do is buy highs. One thing I don't do for the most part anymore is hold through, chaos PRZs. Basically, like if this ever gets here, I would look at that and I wouldn't celebrate and say we're going higher. I would definitely sell some. That's new discipline rules I'm getting in. So I've got enough, and then I also just never risk more than ever for 5% of my account. So if I have $1,000 in crypto, I never risk more than $50 in any one trade. Usually I risk much less than that. So those are rules I haven't been breaking, but certain rules definitely have been cheating. So let's get a few more questions in. Thoughts on INJ? Yes, let's take a look at INJ. This is one, I believe, I want to say Binance Smart Chain. Let's take a look right here. Ooh, Binance Smart Chain stuff's been going hot. Okay, first off, looking a little quiet, looking a little tired, not seeing rising volume. Really, really close attention to the volume always in charts and crypto, because what volume tells you is who's buying and how much they're buying. So it stands to reason that as price goes up and as price goes up and as price goes up, you want to see that at that higher price, there are still a lot of people that want to buy. But in this case, with INJ, we actually see less people interested in buying. And that usually is the beginning of a hint that the price needs to cool down. Right here, we had lots of buyers. They're like, holy shit, I love this price. I love this price. Less and less and less. So that's the first warning sign to me when something needs to cool down. You also kind of had like a bit of a 3 impulse thing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you might get an A, B, C. Again, not an Elliott wave guy, but I can see those things on the charts. And an Elliott wave trader would probably come in and be like, no, those aren't measured properly, and you just screwed that up and you're dumb. However, I've seen it play out a lot of times loosely. And so I do kind of look sometimes for like a 3rd impulse up, and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little more cautious up here. So let's take a look at INJ, on the shorter time frames. This is a daily. So you got bearish market structure on the daily. kind of two little breakdown points. And then you actually have my favorite short entry, which is right here in the short reload zone. You can already see it a mile away. And that's where you get the bearish breakdown in structure, but it doesn't just dump right away. It comes up and it just squeezes the shorts, fills anybody who wants to short, like me, up in that short reload zone. And, it's not as popular on Twitter and nobody wants to hear about you shorting the market. But a trade's a trade's a trade's a trade. And if you can only trade one side of the market, you're going to be bored 50% or more of the time. So that is actually my favorite trade. Is you get an overbought market or an overextended market, you find like a bearish breakdown in price, and then you just start hunting these short reload zones. Wish I had looked at this chart last week. So what do I see for this? Well, let's look at where the next reasonable target is to get in. This is a pump chaser zone, so it has bounced off that once, twice, 3 times. So could it just continue from here? Absolutely. Would I bet on it? Probably not. Like I probably wouldn't lay risk on the long side on this thing just yet. I'd want to see a W. Right now we've got lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Let's let that reverse. Let's let that cool down. That chill out with all that lower high shit, INJ. I think we're still on log. Oh dear. Okay. This is looking a little more balanced now. I don't usually chart on log. So let's look at what a reload zone. It's crazy because these reload zones hit so often, right? So look, 2 market states, right? We were pumping like crazy all year so far. That's pump chaser zone stuff. You don't have time for most times for a reload zone. You're going to miss the whole bloody rally. So it's a pump chaser zone for me. But now we've had the smackdown in the market. Bitcoin kind of shit everybody's pants. Altcoins might need to cool down because of things like this, right? We're just in this consolidation zone for altcoins. And, that's versus Bitcoin. So they may need to take a little break. They don't usually just rally all bloody year through a bull market. So let's look at INJ. And, how many people through here who got really excited about INJ bought it? And the reason I'm talking so much about this coin is because it's really applying to all coins. Any coin that looks like this, where it's had a really nice run, but it's kind of cooling off, the volume's dying, it's just confirmed bearish market structure. There's a lot of these. So apply this kind of understanding to any of the charts that you guys are looking at. And if it looks like this and you're in profit, I can't give financial advice. I would say if I'm in profit and it looks like this, I would pay myself. And, if I'm wrong and it's like, oh, pump chaser zone, oh my God, well, this will probably get a bullish retest and then I can get back in. But at least I know it's going in the right direction. But it all comes back to your trading plan and all that stuff I talked about before. So I really get uncomfortable when I start talking in ways that people might interpret as telling them how to trade their bag. But my personal thought on this, because, if I want to be a bull on this, if someone tells me it's so sick, you got to buy some, I'd be like, cool. Call me when it's down here. And if it never gets there, I guess I missed that. Oops, who cares? Right? You got to have that attitude when you're trading. Otherwise, you're going to get caught buying it just because you can't stand the thought of missing it, even though it's not in a zone where you're getting the best opportunity for a long. So if I had to be a betting man, I'd say we have to cool off and consolidate for a lot of these things. And it is what it is. Like, fuck, I can't control the market. I'll tell you what, though, one thing you can control in this shit is how you behave, your decisions, what you do. You can't control which direction anything goes beyond the slippage you create when you buy stuff. But you can control your decisions. So I decide that until I get clear signals that the pump is back on, I will be waiting patiently for the most part in reload zones, high time frame reload zones, and watch what happens this year. Because if this works the way that I expect it to, if everything goes just the way I like, we are going to have a really good year. But instead of getting washed out and depressed and selling my bags in something like this, we might end up like this. And then it's just going to be a rip roaring bull. And at the end of the year, this is honestly what I expect. For what it's worth, who knows? Predictions aren't worth much. But this will be the anthill that was the test pump of 2021. And hearing that and thinking that, you might just say, well, fuck it, I'll just hold. And that's cool. But if it goes down here and doesn't do that, then you have to make that decision down here. So that's why I've got a lot of reload zones coming up on my charts in the next few weeks. You guys will see that. And if we do roll over it, if it does get boring, and if we do wash out, this is going to be insane, guys. And the really cool thing is that in some cases, this might just be wave 2. And then it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. These are the kinds of things that happened in 2017 that no one thought would ever happen. And then looking back, it was like, obviously, I don't know. I don't know. Long take on INJ there, guys. We are coming up at 4:08. Oh my God, Ramble Stanley talking a lot today. Hero bot put VSYS on my radar, so I bought a small bag. Oh, Hero bot. Okay, nice. Yeah, the Hero bot is on Twitter. Um, I I'm not familiar with it. I think that's Messi's thing. But you can ask him about it. It's got some pretty cool ideas, and it just pumps out random coins, and it's just ideas to chew on. And if you go look at it and it looks good, cool. Difference between the pump chaser zone and the reload zone. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good question. I think I've kind of just explained that in this. I am going to be making a video on the pump chaser zone and the reload zone very shortly. I just made the one on the chaos PRZ, and I'm going to kind of make a second and third, because I want to have those explained so that when I go on these streams, you can always reference those, because I understand new people come in, they want to learn about it, and people that have been watching, they don't necessarily want me to reteach it every day on stream. So in a nutshell, though, the pump chaser zone is what I use in a very hot market. If there was huge volume coming into this high, like big buy volume, I might say, hey, this thing's hot, pump chaser zone it is. And it very well could be that this is a really good entry. I don't want you guys to think that I just know what's going to happen. I'm just telling you how I'm going to play it. But if it's a very hot market, which arguably it has been lately, so maybe I'm off, but then the pump chaser zone is where it's at. You'll get that dip in here, it'll consolidate for a bit, if anything, or just tap and go, and then it's off to the races. It's a better place to buy than ever buying highs, that's for sure. And they often come in. So that's why I use it. But for a more lazy ass kind of let's wash it out, let's chill, let's make everybody sweat market, and most assets in general, they will eventually take back a lot of the rally, sometimes up to 80%, which is right around here. And that's your reload zone. And it's really crazy how many times that this level is where people capitulate and get depressed like clockwork. It's like human psychology written on a map. And so if you can train yourself to be a buyer in reload zones instead of a seller, and I'm not, I'm not immune to that either. I've actually sold things like on my phone one time when I'm just like laying in bed. I'm like, oh yeah, you screw this, I'm going to sell. And then I go the next day and I chart it. And I'm like, oh, I just sold in the reload zone. And then it chills there for a bit, and then it moons, and I'm like, I did that. So, not perfect. But that's like two. And how to use them and exactly when to use them is a bit of an art. It's not exactly like a hard science. We are living on the INJ chart today. When Bitcoin dominance anti-moon, sir? Yeah, that's what I want to see. I would love to see that. And maybe we'll end here with the weekly views. Well, not end here, but start wrapping up here. I always say that for the last 12 minutes. But let's take a look. I mean, yeah, if I had to be a betting man, I'd say at the end of the year, at some point, we're down at 50%. I really do think that. Again, for what it's worth. I don't know the predictions are worth a whole lot, but all my analysis suggests that Bitcoin should lose dominance to all these amazing new projects that are coming out that are not just napkin paper ideas like they were in 2017. A lot of them are getting network value. A lot of them are driving cash flow. A lot of them are attractive, providing yields to otherwise low yield environments. So I would be shocked in a way if Bitcoin just continues to become this dominating force into the 70s and 80s ever again. Again, unless some like sovereign country bank, central bank decides to put $1 trillion of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Well, that'll probably change the landscape pretty quickly, but I doubt it. Urea Iris dropping hot thank yous. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that a lot, because I work hard at this stuff and I go out of my way to make sure that I over explain everything to you guys. So when you tell me that it's really valuable to you, it makes my day. That's my pay. That's my pay for the day, Ray. What do you say? Let's go play. It's really nice out today, guys. I think I'm going to go outside for a bit so I don't turn into a vampire. Awash in paleness. Final thoughts. ETH fees still pretty high. And Tix Wix still pretty dope. That's pretty much all I got today. Don't know what else I would say other than that I'm seeing a lot of this bear structure on USD pairs on alts And it would be totally friggin' normal and okay if they want to come down and fill me up in these reload zones, which look at that, happen to be throwback levels as well. So I don't have my ocean bag anymore, but I will be adding to it. And I guess here's the last thing I'll say. I'm going to put it all together for those of you who stuck around to the end. Here it is, the full 3-part setup. I think I will drop it for you here. What am I looking for? Like I said, INJ, right? Ocean. There are so many coins that look like this. So just really pick your poison, apply it. This is bearish. This is a drop down. Yes, it could chill here and go, but let's assume that it goes the way that I think it will for sake of conversation. Get down into these reload zones. When it makes one of these lows, I want to then see, okay, so I've got my location. I'm in the reload zone. Then I'm going to pull up my momentum indicators. And let's just pick on the MACD, measuring the distance between these two moving average. So when they're really far apart, the momentum is very intense. When they're not so far apart, like right here, the momentum was not very intense. They measure momentum, okay? So let's say when it gets down there, I'm going to close this. I'm going to close that. We'll focus on the MACD. When we get into this zone, I want to see this thing get into divergence. So let's just say it makes a really big low. And then let's say price goes down again to new lows, but this comes and makes a higher low. Momentum is slowed. And then it breaks back positive. That's a bullish divergence confirmed on the MACD. Okay, so let's say we get in there. We're in my reload zone. We get that bullish divergence. And then we get a W, a breakout. So we've stopped making lower lows. We've just made a higher low and now a higher high. That's the go signal. That's it. Can you wait for that? That's the question. How profitable will I be as a trader? Really comes down to, can I wait for the right time? Can I stop buying random coins on 15-minute charts just because I'm so used to them going up for the last 2 months? Can I steal my hand and wait till the market tells me it's time to fucking go? Because anyone who did that here got rewarded. Through here, got rewarded, right? Anyone who couldn't wait, you usually end up buying here, selling here, buying on the bounce, selling here, losing, so that by the time that the real breakout comes in, you're so butthurt, you don't have the balls to buy it. And then it goes like this, and then you FOMO into the top. That's your standard trader. Let's be better than that, guys. For now, I'm calling a hold on new longs. Speaking of new longs, let's go check the thing I long today. Sometimes I talk and I teach, and I often teach better than I perform, like myself. My behavior does not always reflect my best ideas. So maybe I need to take a bit of my own medicine here. DOT looks a lot better though, right? Doesn't DOT look better than that last chart? Parachains coming up. This is a different case, but on that last chart, that's basically what I'm looking for. For DOT, parachains are coming. It's an extremely strong project. I don't know. Volume is kind of falling, but I'm in a local long. If this gets lost, I'm out. So I don't know if I buy the same sort of fallback for DOT. Parachains are coming out. I will probably sell the news on the parachain auctions though. So don't get it twisted. If we can pump chaser zone, continue up, this is like into March, into February, or late or early March, parachain auctions. It's going to be such a sweet take profit target. Maybe there's a sell the news because all the guys who lost the auctions sell off their DOT. I don't know. Hope this all makes sense, guys. Sometimes I just go on, and I can't quite tell if everyone's following along or enjoying it and appreciating it. So if you do appreciate it, hit the like, hit us up in the comments. The producer and I do look at those comments. We do take the feedback. We do respond. And yeah, sounded like you said hot thank yous. Yeah, I think I did, Scott. Thank you very much for your streams. Have a great weekend. You guys are the best. I appreciate every one of you coming in to watch today. For future, when I announce these streams on Friday mornings, I'm going to take coin requests right there on Twitter. So you can hit your cash tags, and we'll get to a little bit more efficient, perhaps, on specific coin requests. Today, I just kind of flew off the handle, sharing what I kind of thought was most important, and, you know, spending the whole day on INJ. So, and it was kind of bearish. Anyways, you guys are awesome. TradingView, thank you. I see you guys over there. Appreciate you as well. CCI, Facebook Live, you guys are the best. Have a wonderful weekend. Keep an eye out for the Pump Chaser Zone videos on our YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notification button if you want to get a little heads up when they come out sometime probably early next week. And then the reload zone video I'd like to get out as well. So we have the trifecta, the PRZ, the PCZ, and the RLZ. Z. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Oh, wait. How the hell could we not go back to studio here? It'd be a real sad shame if I wasn't in it for the closing thoughts. Jano? Paging Dr. Producer. I've gone back from my screen share, sir. Might thine insert me to the... Okay, here we are. Hey, guys. We're in the studio. I just want to hang out here all day, but I'm going to go outside. Going to get a little sun on my face before it goes down again. And we'll see if Doc can moon next week. That's awesome. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. And whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.